spinning elbow, so he blocks with his right arm and immediately gets a collar tie. This lets him line up his own elbow, putting Tabarez out.
Learn Excel in 7 days and start finishing work earlier.
This course turns every lesson into quick.
All right, welcome. So, after years and years of procrastination, I finally decided to commit to this YouTube thing. After helping a dozen other people start their channel and telling them that start your YouTube, monetize it before the robots take everything else, build your social media brand. I'm not really a social media lover, but hey, it is what it is. The way the job market is changing, I think everybody should be working on their social media. So here goes. You know, I spend hours on YouTube anyway, so why not? This is one of my, I'm not going to say favorite channels, Business Basics, because, you know, the news lies, and they definitely lie. This is definitely government propaganda, and it's okay to watch as long as you know to do your own research on certain things. But every episode of this, they make it sound like Russia's falling apart or China's falling apart. But yeah, as long as you do your own research, and you're fine.
Marico, se prendió el peo y esta mierda, yo.
On January 2nd, 2026, Maduro appeared on state TV meeting Chinese officials in Caracas.
US President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that Maduro had been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country.
His next appearance...
I haven't heard one Venezuelan say anything good about Maduro or anything bad about us capturing Maduro. The only time that I've heard a Venezuelan say something bad is when they were in the country and on the payroll. But from that woman that gave Trump the Nobel Peace Prize to people that I asked personally, it's all good, all W's. So that's that.
Wouldn't be on television, but in a New York court. Within the next 24 hours of meeting the Chinese officials, American forces captured Maduro and his wife and flew them out of Venezuela. Trump said moving Maduro was Don Roe doctrine in action. Maybe he forgot to mention that this was just its trailer. The Don Roe doctrine wasn't a random strategy. Trump went back centuries to borrow it from a genius. In 1823, U.S. President James Monroe announced a doctrine that reshaped global politics forever. It declared that European powers must stay out of the Americas, and in return, the United States would stay out of Europe's conflicts. That was called the Monroe Doctrine. It was a genius move for two reasons. The Monroe Doctrine was issued to prevent European recolonization and interference in the Americas following Latin American independence. It also aimed to protect U.S. security and economic interests by declaring the Western Hemisphere a distinct sphere of influence, closed to future European colonization and political systems. 200 years later, and the world looks very different. But the doctrine is back. The only difference is the aim of this doctrine. When Trump brought back this doctrine, he renamed it the Don Roe Doctrine. And this time, it's not aimed at Europe. It's aimed at China. Yeah, you heard that right. Everything the United States is doing today in Latin and South America is hurting China's influence, economically, strategically, and politically. And if this strategy succeeds, it could shatter China's dream of global dominance. As China's footprint in Latin America continues to grow, alarm bells are ringing in Washington, even as the United States remains distracted by major conflicts in Europe and the Middle East. U.S. policymakers and military officials increasingly see China's advance as a direct threat to American influence in its own backyard. Now, that erosion didn't happen overnight. During his first term, President Donald Trump took a harder line on Latin America than his predecessors. His administration imposed sanctions on Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, cutting aid to multiple countries, most notably the Northern Triangle nations of Central America, and pulled back from regional trade engagement. Trump also withdrew the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, signaling a broader retreat from trade leadership. Looked like a great move, but a lot of analysts didn't agree. Many analysts argue these moves unintentionally pushed several Latin American governments closer to China, which was offering money without conditions. When Joe Biden took office, he promised a course correction. Having led Latin American policy as vice president under Barack Obama, Biden consistently described China as a strategic competitor and called for renewed U.S. leadership in the region. In 2021, Biden and other G7 leaders launched the Build Back Better World B3W initiative, designed as a counterweight to China's Belt and Road Initiative, including in Latin America. But the execution fell short. The Biden administration committed just $6 million to B3W in its first year. The initiative was later rebranded as the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, raising questions about U.S. seriousness and staying power. At the 2022 Summit of the Americas, Biden announced new economic initiatives, including the Americas Partnership for Economic Prosperity, aimed at boosting regional competitiveness. His administration also sought to strengthen support for Taiwan and repeatedly warned countries about the risks of using Huawei technology. Still, critics argue it wasn't enough, especially on trade. The 2024 report from the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission highlighted how China's expanding influence in Latin America presents long-term strategic challenges for Washington. So Congress has tried to respond, at least on paper. Till 2024, things look doubtful. Although in 2022, bipartisan legislation introduced by Senator Bob Menendez and Senator Marco Rubio aimed to counter China's malign influence by expanding security cooperation and counter-narcotics efforts in the region. Other proposals called for permanent U.S. trade partnerships across the Western Hemisphere, encouraging companies to reshore supply chains from China to nearby countries. But none of these bills became law. And as Washington debates, delays, and redirects its focus, Beijing continues to move forward, quietly reshaping Latin America's future. But 2024 arrived, and in his second term, Donald Trump is absolutely clear about one thing: China's dominance in Latin America must end. For that, Trump is reaching back nearly 2 centuries to the Monroe Doctrine. On the occasion of the 250th anniversary of the Monroe Doctrine on December 2nd, 2025, a White House press release explicitly stated that the administration was reasserting the doctrine under the America First policy framework. Trump has repeatedly demonstrated his admiration for 19th century American presidents. He has openly praised figures such as William McKinley, whom he credits with making America rich through tariffs, Theodore Roosevelt, who reshaped global trade and power projection through the construction of the Panama Canal, and James Monroe, the president who declared that foreign powers have no right to interfere in the Western Hemisphere. These aren't random historical references. They reveal something far deeper. Trump is the first U.S. president since Franklin D. Roosevelt rejected the modern idea that America's greatest threats lie in distant regions of the world. For Trump, the danger isn't overseas, it's right at home. In Trump's view, the greatest threats facing the United States today are mass immigration across the southern border and drug trafficking, which he links to tens of thousands of overdose deaths every year. And this belief shapes everything. For Trump, the objective isn't simple border security. It's total dominance of the Western Hemisphere, from the North Pole to the South Pole. By using America's superior military strength, economic leverage, and political pressure, Trump aims to eliminate all threats within the hemisphere, foreign and domestic. That includes China, too. This strategy marks a clear break from modern U.S. foreign policy. Instead of projecting power across distant continents, Trump is refocusing America's might on its own backyard. That's why many in the media have given this approach a new name, the Monroe Doctrine. It is a modernized version of the Monroe Doctrine, updated for the 21st century. So America is winning this battle, at least in the headlines. On the ground, both sides are locked in cutthroat competition, because China has been laying the groundwork for years, just in a less flashy way. The credit for all of the success China achieved in the region was a loophole. You see, South and Latin America are not rich. They are not fully secular or liberal either. There are exceptions. Countries like Panama and Brazil have made strong progress, but for most of the region, development still lags far behind the United States. And that gap has consequences. For decades, weak institutions, poverty, and instability have allowed underworld criminal networks to thrive. Drug cartels, mafias, and violent gangs have flourished across the region. Faced with these problems, the United States chose a hard approach. Washington distanced itself, demanding political reforms, legal changes, and constitutional corrections before offering support. But China, they chose a different path. No conditions, no lectures on democracy or governance, no pressure to change laws or systems. China accepted these countries without conditions. As of 2024, Beijing has signed free trade agreements with Chile, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Nicaragua, and Peru. Negotiations with Uruguay collapsed due to resistance from the Mercosur trade bloc, the South American trade bloc founded in 1991 by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Despite the setback, China pushed forward with trade agreements elsewhere. More than 20 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean have joined China's Belt and Road Initiative, with Colombia being the most recent addition. Today, countries like Brazil, Cuba, Paraguay, Peru, and Venezuela host some of the largest Chinese diaspora communities in Latin America, living proof that China's influence in the region is no longer temporary or symbolic. But trade is only one part of the story. The real glue binding China to Latin America is money. Chinese foreign direct investment and state-backed loans have become powerful tools of influence across the region. In 2024, China's outright foreign direct investment in Latin America and the Caribbean reached roughly $8.5 billion, about 6% of China's total OFDI. Behind it stands China's policy banks, the China Development Bank and Export-Import Bank of China, now among the largest lenders in the region. Since 2005, these two banks have issued more than $120 billion in loans to Latin American and Caribbean governments and state-owned companies. Most of this money has gone into energy and infrastructure projects, often backed by oil-for-loan agreements. No country illustrates this better than Venezuela. It is by far China's largest borrower in the region, receiving nearly $60 billion in Chinese state loans, mostly tied to oil, power plants, and infrastructure. These funds look lucrative, but their consequences were not. Chinese loans often appear attractive because they carry fewer political conditions than Western financing. But for economically fragile countries, that dependence can become dangerous. Critics warn that nations like Venezuela have fallen into what they call debt traps, situations where massive borrowing leads to repayment crisis and even default.
Yeah, the reason we care about Venezuela is because, several reasons. They put themselves in a position where, they're doing business with China, which Trump doesn't like. And there's humanitarian reasons that we don't necessarily care about. It gives us an excuse to go get their oil and their gold. If it was just the humanitarian reasons, we wouldn't care because we would have to figure out how to not pay for it. So, because they have oil and gold, they check all the boxes. Hey, this is a win-win type of thing. But if it was just for, the people, we wouldn't really care, per se.
Disrespect black people and instantly regret it. Let's get into this.
Honestly, just from black women in general, it sucks because I've been here my whole life and I honestly thought I would adapt to the environment. And I have in a way. I feel like I've become more resilient when it comes to obviously racist remarks or something slightly offensive, because I used to be the type of person that would get offended at every little thing. For example, a Hispanic person saying the N-word. I don't care enough anymore because this happens literally too much. And obviously there's nothing I can do.
This is a lady who lives in the San Antonio, Texas area, and she's saying that, hey, there's nothing I can do about it as a woman. These guys say it so much. This disrespect towards blacks, it's not just happening on the peer-to-peer level. It's also happening in the work environment as well.
Right, the Chandler Caesar, he's a Hispanic man. He got together with the director of HR and the board of trustees, and they came up with this plan to get rid of black employees at high positions.
Oh yeah, I saw
they
this.
They did anything from putting false complaints in their folders so they could get demoted or get fired, and then they replaced these black employees with Hispanics. Hispanics went up, the hiring for Hispanics went up 50%. These three individuals orchestrated the plan.
What? Now we're in the great Dallas-Fort.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. I want to show y'all the exact news article that highlights exactly what he's talking about. They're going to look out for one another. Black people should almost do this, but do.
This is one of the reasons why the foundational Black American movement started. It's because Black people automatically defaulted to helping minorities, and we became doormats for minorities. You know, they don't care about our causes, they don't understand our causes, so, you know, when they need help, they assume we're going to show up for them, you know. And they're repeating white supremacy talking points. So now for us, they're doing more harm than good, so, yeah.
Do it the right way, not at the detriment of where you have to possibly lose your livelihood because you did it in such a dumb way, but just looking out for one another, not overlooking people, but putting in a good word for your people, showing them that, hey man, I work hard and I know another guy who worked just as hard as me and you should definitely give him the job. Then y'all move up. And then y'all start to look out and you know, you help each other. But man, you ain't got to overlook a motherfucker just because. And this is exactly what they doing. Like, nah, let's get rid of these blacks and just replace them with all Hispanics. Nah, you got to do that. You can hire a couple of your kinfolks. Let little Javier, little Alejandro, you dig? Vanessa. Yeah, y'all come on over here, but hire some black people too now.
Community College is facing a $100 million lawsuit. Hundreds of African-American employees, both past and present, say they faced racial discrimination while working at HCC. Channel 2's Roseanne Aragon is live tonight with a closer look at what this new lawsuit claims. Roseanne?
This lawsuit was intentionally filed today. The plaintiff tells us she represents many. Houston Community College slapped with a $100 million racial discrimination lawsuit filed on none other than the Juneteenth holiday.
Ooh, I know the civil rights movement people and the ancestors are pleased with this. On Juneteenth, they filed that $100 million lawsuit. That's what's up.
Center of the case is Zelia Brown, a former employee who says she and others have been racially targeted by HCC leadership. The suit also reveals an email chain from Chancellor Cesar Maldonado, which states now we Hispanics are going to receive preferential treatment.
This is a pattern. It is something that is methodically and deliberately done to ostracize that individual.
The suit names Maldonado, HR Director Janet May, and Board of Trustees member Adriana Thomas, claiming they worked intentionally on a quote.
And these are white Hispanics. Y'all got to understand that. White Hispanics, dog, is almost always going to think like a colonizer, bro. I'm sorry I'm telling y'all this shit, but it is what it is. The whiter their complexion, the more preferential treatment they receive back home. Because if you look white in Colombia, if you look white in Mexico, if you look white in these places, you can go further in life. You get treated better. You get treated more fairly. It's a caste system. So obviously these people are going to want to look out for their own. And if you just so happen to be white passing Mexican, woo! You get the job, goddammit. You get a job. You get a job. Everybody get a job. If you look like Helena Moreno, oh, and this is no diss to Helena Moreno. Keep fixing my city, please. But I'm just saying, she is the example of a white Mexican. Blonde hair, blue eyes, Helena Moreno. If you look like her, you can go far in life in the Mexican community.
Well-developed, systematic, entrenched, and wildly successful campaign of race and sex discrimination against top-level black employees, stating that 90% of the longtime black professionals at HCC have either been terminated or demoted, while there has been a 50% increase in Hispanic hires and promotions.
Whether it is demoting them by pay, placing them in a lower level position, creating schemes.
Brown says it happened to her. In 2016, she was hired to advise on grant use and compliance. In 2018, when she found what she believes was a clear pattern of misused funds and spoke up.
Every avenue that I would go down, they would present an obstacle.
But the lawsuit cites other alleged tactics, including padding black employee personnel files with false complaints. For Brown,
they just immediately placed me on administrative leave.
In March, she resigned, and
there have been dozens, as I've said, that have come forward.
You see how them low down, dirty, funky operate? They will go into your file and put some bullshit in there and don't care nothing about it.
Let me go in this file. All right, he loud, he obnoxious, he be showing up to work late, he make everybody feel uncomfortable, he's very disrespectful to management, he leaves early.
All of this is lies, by the way. And they do that, and they don't worry about your kids. They don't worry about none of the medical bills you're paying for, the car note, the groceries, the house note. They don't, your rent. Yes, they don't care that you're gonna lose your job, man, or get demoted. They don't care, dog. No compassion, man.
HCC says they have not been served yet, so at this hour, they do not have a response. For now, Roseanne Aragon, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Roseanne, thank you.
Disgusting, bro.
Thinking of moving to Texas later this fall, how racist is it? I am a Midwesterner. I grew up in Chicago. It's super diverse. Yes, there are the racist people, but like, you can it's very subtle. I'm thinking of moving to Houston, but I won't be living alone. I'll be living with people who actually have lived in Texas for quite some time. So I'll have some people to like, guide me. But for the time that I'm gonna be there where I have to be alone because I'm gonna bring my car, what do I need to prepare for? Especially because I am a little bit more racially ambiguous. Like, is there something I need to look out for? Are there sayings that they say that I might not initially understand? Is there something I should look out for? Is there certain people I should look out for? Or is this one of those?
As a black man, when I'm outside the U.S. and I tell someone I'm American, when I speak to white people, oftentimes they say, oh, and before, as if because I'm black, I can't be American. And it's usually the Canadians. You think Canadians are the nicest people? No. Polite and nice is two different things.
They're just gonna see my piercings and then like just be super rude to me and be like, Democrat. Like, don't get me wrong, I've been to Texas plenty of times, but I only been to two cities in Texas, and that's Tyler, Texas.
But no, that spectrum piercing, septum piercing is, if you're a 10, it takes you down to an 8. I hate that thing. It's for farm animals. And I told a girl that wanted one that, oh, that's for farm animals. She said, I mean, farm animals get their ears pierced too. I was like, oh, you got a point, but I don't care. It's disgusting. What if you gotta blow your nose or something? Or what if you get into a fight? Like, yeah, they could rip the airing out your ear too, but that on your nose is just an easier target.
Isn't it possible? Those aren't the most big city, Boyfriend, I'm nervous. Thinking of moving to Texas later.
And y'all, I'm gonna show y'all something. The reason why I put this video in here is because you can't trust people. People don't do nothing but lie out the side of their neck, man. Watch this. Let me show y'all some of these comments, dog. If you go to big cities, Houston or Dallas, way more diverse. I'm from Houston. It's the most diverse city in Texas. It might be the most diverse city in Texas, but it don't mean that racism don't exist out there. Texas is not racist at all. Girl, Texas is one of the biggest Hispanic states. You're going to be fine. Is that because she's Hispanic? Carne asada? Yeah, she got to be Hispanic. Yeah, so if you black, you probably ain't going to be experiencing what they say she going to experience. Because they saying it's Hispanic, you gonna be straight because she's one of us. Had a black person made this video, I don't know. But everybody in these comments saying Houston more diverse than Chicago. Trust me, big cities, you good, not small towns, girl. Hold on, I saw a comment over here that said Texas is full of Latinos, you'll be fine. It's not racist. You actually get judged for the content of your character. But that ain't what that $100 million lawsuit say. Going from Chicago to anywhere in Texas is such a downgrade. I would never leave Cali, but Chicago is one of the places I would consider. Man, Texas is not racist. Y'all don't do it. Texas is garbage. Maybe that's the true statement right there.
If you're a black person who's
on Christmas after 19 years.
Jay Reed is one of my favorite commentary people. He deserves to subscribe. And yep, so do I. Like, subscribe, comment if you want to. Give him a like too. It's free, why not? Support.
Working for the company. I'm not going to say their name, but it rhymes with Booby Poos Day. Okay? I started as a server when I was 19 years old. Became a bartender. I did shift leading for a while. I was assistant general manager for years, and then I finally became the general manager. I'm very proud of that. I worked really hard for that.
19 years, I never missed a day of work. I've always showed up. I've always been consistent, always done everything. I've watched the company go from 1,000 stores down to 195. I've went the whole way with the company.
Wow.
Man, these companies do not care about you now more than ever. If you're not focusing on creating your own brand, doing something so that you don't have to ask permission from nobody, you're really just setting yourself up for failure. The robots are taking over. So, and you know what? For a long time, I was thinking Andrew Yang, I was thinking universal income, but I don't see it anymore because why would anybody join the military if they're just going to get a check for doing nothing? I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't see how it's getting worse. I don't see how it's getting better, especially short term. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
They decided they were going to be open on Christmas Day this year. So first of all, I had to tell my family and my kids that I was going to miss Christmas dinner and all of that and all the activities and family time to go to work. What I didn't want to do was just make my employees work. So I took volunteers. The company didn't pay an extra dime to work on Christmas Day. No holiday pay, no bonus pay, no time and a half, no double time, nothing. But they expected me to just make people work, which I didn't want to do. I work in a college town. Most of them were at home on break with their families. The few people I had around town that were still working, they wanted Christmas off. They wanted to spend time with their families on Christmas like they should, like I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I had 3 volunteers that were willing to work on Christmas. There was no previous sales. There was nothing really to base that on. We were only going to be open from 4 to 9. So we were going to run it with the 4 of us. I talked to my boss about it. He's like, that's not enough. He's like, you need more people. You got to make more people work with no incentive on Christmas Day.
What?
I couldn't get anybody else to work. I couldn't make anybody work. I was not going to fire anybody for not working on Christmas. So the 4 of us did the absolute best we could, and we got killed. I cooked all the food by myself. I had a host, I had a server, and I had a brand new shift leader first day out of training that was trying to help out wherever she.
How do you go for that's how you know it's glorified fast food, because how do you go from server to cook? I thought you would need some type of training, right? He said he started from server to lead. He went from no cooking, bartending to cooking all the food.
She could. She started out cooking with me for a while, and then they started filling up in the front, and the whole place filled up.
Now I'm gonna pause the video right here because we got a lot to break down, guys. This guy was at the company for over 2 decades. Well, at least almost 2 decades. And at this point, guys, he understands the ropes. He understands everything that goes around within, those restaurants. But the fact that they are forced to remain open on Christmas Day is absolutely asinine, guys. I can't even make this up. And it's so unfortunate, the fact that he even had to get other workers to come to work and volunteer without any extra incentive. And I know he already said that, but this is how far we have come within this corporate America system. This is how far the restaurant industry has been collapsing. The fact that they had to force their workers to work because they are losing out on so much revenue. And we already know Ruby Tuesday has been going down the drain for the past 3 decades. I'm surprised they are still even open at this point. But I guess people still eat there. I'm not about to if you eat at Ruby Tuesday, there's nothing against you. I'm just saying their restaurants are always super empty. And then their food is very, very mid in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. But it just sucks, guys. And this is how far. This is why people are giving up on corporate America. I know this is a corporate America, but this is why people are just giving up in certain situations because it's Christmas. But I'm going to let the rest of the video play.
I've never seen so many to-go orders come in within a few hour span ever. Apparently, we were the only place open in town.
Yeah.
I did the best I could. I cooked by myself. I cooked thousands of dollars worth of sales and food. Till about 8 o'clock. We were supposed to close at 9. By 8 o'clock, I was almost out of prep. Both sides of my line were empty. I was running back and forth to the cooler, Both sides of my screens were both still full. The restaurant was still full. I didn't know what to do. We were all overwhelmed. We ended up closing the front door 1 hour early at 8 so we could finish taking care of all the people inside the restaurant and finish up the to-go orders that we could not turn off. I cannot turn off the to-go orders. They would stop at 9. So I finished cooking what I had for all of those people, ran back and forth, prepped some things on the fly to get those people taken care of, to get the to-go orders all taken care of, to get to 9 o'clock. We closed, 4 of us closed the entire restaurant. I closed the entire kitchen by myself. We washed thousands of dollars worth of dishes. We were all there very late at night.
Easily create video ads by simply pasting your product page URL. Wait, hold on. You already know how that works. Introducing the newly...
And then I got fired for my efforts. So, I already got another job. I'm starting at the bottom. I had to just grab a job. I had to grab a server job. I'm in training. After 19 years, I'm in training to be a server at another restaurant. And man, what a gut punch. To be the person that is in charge of everything and knows the answer to every question and has put in all of that work, just thrown away.
Just gone.
I know I have comparable skills. I know I have experience. I know that eventually I will get another job, but the market is tough right now, man. It is not a good time to be trying to get a new job.
It is. It's tough, and it gets worse every single day, guys. We've already made videos about this, especially in the restaurant industry. And I'm not, an expert within the restaurant industry, but I can tell you they're dealing with so many different operating costs at this point. The list goes on and on for many different reasons, right? But yes, for him to get fired after 20 years at the company is ridiculous. And this is why I always promote people to go out, and I'm not saying that he needs to do this, but I'm just saying in general, if you want to have a little bit more, just a little bit more. I'm not saying it's an end all be all. I'm not saying that, it applies to every single situation, but go out and get a trade, or go out and get a certification, or go out and get even a degree in some sorts to get into an actual, like a career or something, to where you have a little layer of job security. But I'm not saying that it's end all be all, because we've also seen right now today's economy where a lot of people are already getting laid off and the value of a degree is going down.
I remember when they were preparing the truckers to get laid off, and they were telling them to learn how to code so they can have job security. And now AI is doing the coding, and nobody has job security. It's BS. Nobody has job security. It's sad but true.
Down in other situations. So I don't know. It's so hard to navigate through this situation. This is going so viral right now, to the point to where there is a massive boycott against Ruby Tuesday. Everybody is fed up with the company, right? This video got 10 million views with millions of likes. I think they even started a GoFundMe. If they did, I'll link it down in the description below so you guys can check it out for yourself. But guys, this is how far we've gotten. This is how bad it is right now in today's situation. How can you fire? Let alone, I wouldn't even write him up at that point. Because he got 4 volunteers, because y'all put a mandated policy, a terrible policy, and y'all fire him, y'all. We got a little bit more in this video. Let's check this out.
I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know. I guess I'm making this video because I just need some good vibes thrown my way. I need some comeback stories. I need some of those stories of people that found that really good job after something bad like this. My wife just got a second job. And, man, I've always been the breadwinner in our family. And, I got a mortgage and 2 kids and car payment and everything else. And, man, I feel like it kind of turned my life upside down real quick. But I trust in God. God has my back. And if he's got me, who can be against me, right?
Facts.
And I have so many people that support everything that I've ever done on here. And obviously this is not my normal type of content. I'm a TV collector, and I like VHS tapes and movies. So this is a little bit out of the norm for me. But, I don't want to go to therapy. And I don't really have very many people to talk to other than like my brother and my dad and my wife, So kind kind of journal this a little bit, kind of throw some of this on here and kind of document.
Yeah, shout out to the creator, man. I'm going to link his video in the description below, guys. And I even decided to go over to their page myself, and I'll show you guys some of the comments of what I'm seeing, guys. They are all over flooding Ruby Tuesday's TikTok account, flooding all the information of what they are saying. Like, what is wrong with you? Zero holiday pay. Like, they are all over their comment section as we speak. This is how bad, this is how much people are fed up with this whole company, with this whole situation. And it's so heartless. It is so, what is the word? This is worse than laying off somebody during the holiday season. I know we saw layoffs during the holiday season, but this is worse than that. You even got people who got laid off coming into the new year from these companies. Oh man, it sucks. I'm gonna link all the videos in the description below. Shout out to Jeff Cook 10. I'm gonna link his video as well as some of these other videos that I found of people actually talking about the situation down below, man. With everything going on in the country, I know I'm gonna ramble a little bit. Y'all stay with me. With everything that's going on in the country right now, in every situation, you got the Trump administration, you got, the job market, the layoffs, the economy. The list goes on. I actually just made a video about scams and all these other situations, right? When does it end? Now I'm going on a little rant right here, a little tangent, just a mini one. So stick with me, guys. I'm gonna make it quick. But with everything going on in today's situation, right? You got the economy, you got layoffs, you got everything. The list goes on and on. This guy right here was just trying to work. He was trying to do the basic thing that everybody probably in his life told him to do. Go out and get a job, move up the ranks, and save so you can retire. He was doing the step-by-step thing that everybody, I'm sure, that was in his ear was telling him to do. But, unfortunately, and this is one of the more extreme circumstances. We don't see this happen every single day. That's why this is going so viral at this point. But man, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below.
I know what that's like. Man, I remember one of my high school teachers was telling me to come back and talk to her class and tell her about my experience in college. And I told her I'm probably not the right person to do that because I didn't go into detail. I just was like, I'm not the right person to do that. And she just said, oh, okay. But I knew I wasn't the right person to do that because if I do that, I'm going to tell them a bunch of stuff you don't want me to tell them. I feel tricked. I feel bamboozled. Taking on student loan debt, the first college graduate in my family. And now they're saying you should have got a trade. You should have been a plumber. Or you should have went to the military. What? Really? That's how you feel? Why you didn't say that before? The star supported Trump.
How many times have you clicked I agree without thinking twice? Hidden fees, data sharing, even credit card details.
See, he said, I'm calling you out for a fade, and you know what I'm saying? I
want to fight the homie, guys.
Website, I'll break your
We'll get back to the video shortly, but this video is being sponsored by Kalshi. Kalshi is a platform where you could make money predicting real-world events. Like, for example, this weekend when the New England Patriots face the Houston Texans, Kalshi is allowing me to place a prediction on the announcer saying would a catch at least one time during the game. The odds that happened are 44%, but I never watched an NFL game where I didn't hear would a catch, so it's the easiest W you will ever get. If you want to get started on Kalshi making predictions, click the link in my description to download the app and use code FLACO to get $10 when you sign up after your first deposit. Adam had one of those brilliant ideas that sound really good on the internet, and then you got to come outside and you realize that idea that sounded really great from the comfort of your computer screen and your phone don't sound too good in real life. When Adam signed on to be involved in Aiden Ross's boxing event called Brand Risk, a group of white dudes convinced Adam that it was a good idea. When they were trying to figure out who Adam would box, they thought it would be a good idea for Adam to publicly call out 4 Extra for a fade, a highly frustrated, stressed out,
I don't care if 4 Extra only has one hand. He only need one hand. 4 Extra is stocky as hell. Adam is skinny as hell. I don't see Adam lasting very long, but I'd like to see it anyway. Why not?
Distressed 4 Extra, who just blew up his hand, they thought it was a good idea for Adam to call him out for the fade.
So it's been about 24 hours since I challenged 4 Extra to a fade because he's a lion snake, and no response. So it seems King Cook can't get a fade, I can't get a fade, nobody can get a fade. Anyway, I was just trying to put some money in your pocket. Apparently you're shook. It is what it is. Picking out fights, it ain't for me, but I guess it is for you. So it is what it is. 4 Extra has officially not accepted my challenge. He had 24 hours. If he comes crawling back, maybe we can discuss something. But I don't know. I put it out there because I can't really think of any way that you're going to get some money for the rest of your life. So I figured, why not set up a fade? Get some money in the boxing ring. But apparently you don't want to do that. So I guess we just got another smack on our hands, living off the government for the rest of his days, but it is what it is.
Adam thought that because 4 Extra declined the celebrity boxing match, the fade was now off the table and he was in the clear. And if Adam would have called me, I would have told him, bruh, you called out a rolling 40 crip publicly to a fade. That fade is still on the table. It's just not going to happen in a ring in front of 100,000 people. It might happen on camera, but not in a ring in front of 100,000 people for Aiden Ross. Right? I can almost guarantee that. So during his interview today, 4 Extra broke down that when he sees Adam, he's going to break Adam's jaw. He would even say that they put like a metal rod or a metal something in his hand now, so his hand is even more strong and more powerful. Now, the reason why 4 Extra hates Adam, and we're not going to rehash this, but 4 Extra and Adam hate each other because 4 Extra accused Adam of bringing on his enemies and making a mockery out of him blowing up his hand while he was still in the hospital. Adam's defense is, I brought your enemies on because I'm not a gang member, right? I can do business with whoever I want to do business with. But when they had something to say about your hand, I didn't laugh. I didn't diss you. So you shouldn't be mad at me because I'm not the one who said things about your hands. 4 Extra says, that don't matter. You having my enemies on.
You brought them on for that purpose. What do you mean you didn't laugh? You definitely laughed. And you definitely brought them on to make jokes at his expense. You want to pretend like that's your friend. No, it's not your friend. You're using them. You're using them for clout, using them for views. And, yeah.
And having them diss me is enough.
Adam dropped the diss track.
Oh, yeah. I see that bucket.
This course turns every lesson into quick, practical steps you'll want to keep doing. From formulas to charts, you'll see how simple it is to pick up real skills. And with just 15...
That was trash. On Vernon.
You lucky I ain't frying. You lucky I ain't frying, bro.
The cold part about it, his cat is still playing. He's still playing. And then you see talking about he's always gonna be my BFF. What's wrong with you? What the is wrong with this?
Yeah, we'll catch y'all as the DDT.
But did you see? But then you see, he said, "I'm calling you out for a fade," and you know what I'm saying?
I want to fight the homie, cuz. Shut your ass up.
I'll break your jaw. I'll get the break your jaw. I don't even pay attention to shit like that because cats like that, he just want clickbait. Right now that we saying this, as soon as he see this, he about to go make right now. He about to clickbait this to death. Man, nothing. You serious? He want to pay? Nah, this the cold part about it. And it's metal in this bitch. I'll around break your shit on sight. Stop playing. Let's just stop playing. Let's just stop playing and stop. You got
4 Extra. I'm gonna challenge you to a duel. Look at that. Get your dumb ass up out of here.
Hey, the first thing I'm saying when I seen it, the first thing I said, this catting out. This catting out. Look, he was better off just jumping on that motherfucker, apologizing, and like, bro, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me, bro. You get what I'm saying? He's better off just saying that, jumping on there, apologizing, like, bro, you want to talk to me? You want to talk? But now you get up here with a bunk ass this song.
If I was advising Adam at the time, I would have said, bro, apologize, man. Dude just blew his hands off. He's in the hospital. He claims that the doctor said that he went into a coma for a while. He didn't wake up from anesthesia. His family is in the hospital room. His aunties, his sisters, they're crying. They're breaking down. They don't know what's going to happen to him. He thinks he's dying. So yeah, you know, if he sees content that he believes is making a mockery out of that experience, he's going to be upset. Just apologize. Why Adam didn't apologize is because Adam is still traumatized from what Adam will say is hosts leaving the platform and creating a hate form towards him on their way out so they can ride the sympathy gravy. Adam thought that 4Extra was making his way out of No Jumper, was like realizing he got some newfound fame. He didn't really want to come back to No Jumper. So on his way out of No Jumper, he was gonna hate form and do something that Adam thinks that other hosts have done in the past, which is create this story about how Adam victimized you and how Adam is a villain and he did you wrong. Make people galvanize around you and hate Adam. And then while you get all the support for your new ventures, No Jumper suffers a view hit. You know, the fans are disliking. They are doing a campaign to hate No Jumper. And Adam didn't want to experience that again. So Adam got ahead of the story. Even when the Trapler Ross interview dropped where 4Extra is talking about how
like and subscribe, why not? It's free.
He's never going to come back again because Adam, you know, had people on the platform that was making a mockery of his hand while he was still in the hospital. Adam responded back, calling 4Extra a liar, saying that he never laughed at 4Extra. That's not true. If other people had things to say, that's dumb, but he never said those things.
So he's speaking about me. He's getting very in his feelings, and he makes it clear that it really, really hurt him to see me laughing about what happened to him while he was still in the hospital. Now, I have gone back. I've checked the records, and I have some good news for 4Extra. I was not laughing at you, which should be obvious. I don't know if he's even like pretended to see this footage, but like the idea that I was laughing at him is crazy. Now, what actually is happening in the video that was while he was still in the hospital? Now, granted, I did crack jokes later on, but the thing that was enough for 4Extra to write me off.
What? I wasn't laughing, but I cracked jokes. I can't.
Was the fact that Munchie makes a joke. I like literally am sitting there like not laughing. Like, yeah, real funny. And the whole room's laughing. I'm not laughing. It's like I was going so hard trying to not laugh at some undeniably funny jokes. And that was enough to ruin the 4Extra friendship. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't give a fuck at this point. It feels like this is just, nobody really cares about this as much as me. It still hurts me in my heart that I put so much time and effort and money into building this guy up, and that he just threw me to the side like a dog. As soon as because, it's like, listen, I do a podcast with Munchie. He doesn't like you. Want to know why he doesn't like you? Is because you and him are ops, and you've had words before in the past. You guys are never going to get along, and it's just like, it hurts so bad that 4Extra, like, as soon as Munchie makes one joke, just decides to like blame this on me. But also one last thing is like, you did buy, according to him, $6,000 worth of fireworks, and then you blew off your hand. Like, how do you at a certain point not feel like, okay, you got to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit.
$6,000 worth.
That's what he says. Doesn't make any sense to me. I have no, like, $6,000 worth. Is that's going to be like a couple pickup trucks?
Buy some Dracos instead. At that point,
it did sound crazy to me too. But all I'm saying is that the fact that he can't find it within himself to realize that other people, especially your ops, people that like you really don't get along with, are going to find humor in this when you were going around acting like the toughest guy on earth for all these years. It's just like, are you serious? Like, this, for the 4Extra thing in particular, might be the biggest reminder I've ever got that you just can't do business with dummies over and over and think that it's going to work out all right. I can't keep stooping down and trying to make stars out of people and succeeding, to be totally fair, because as soon as they get one person in their ear, they're just going to f it up.
I thought 4Extra was mad about King Pill and other people who weren't No Jumper employees coming on No Jumper and making a mockery out of 4Extra losing his hand. But if he's mad at Munchie B, then you kind of have to give Adam the benefit of the doubt here, because Munchie B was already a No Jumper employee before 4Extra blew off his hand. Munchie B were already on the No Jumper show. Munchie B was already, a regular contributor at No Jumper. And it's unfair to ask Adam, hey, could you, fire Munchie B because 4Extra blew his hands off? Or, hey, could you tell Munchie B he can't speak on 4Extra because, right? No, like, as a No Jumper employee, I think Munchie B has the right and the privilege to kind of speak on whatever he really want to speak on. Now, if Adam laughed, that's a different story. Adam said he didn't laugh. 4Extra said he did. So that's a different story. But if the issue is Munchie B giving his opinion, Munchie B is a No Jumper employee. I think it would be unfair for Adam to tell a No Jumper employee, hey, your enemy blew his hand off. You can't make a mockery out of it. You can't joke about it. You can't laugh about it, because they're enemies, right? Like, if Munchie B hand got blown up, I don't think, Adam would tell 4Extra, hey, you can't speak on Munchie B's hand. So, yeah, if 4Extra is mad about Munchie B, then, I'm not 100% on that particular side of things, okay? Now, 4Extra would explain exactly why he's upset at Adam and what exactly Adam could have done in that situation to not piss him off. Since, from my perspective, asking him to fire a No Jumper employee or asking him to police a No Jumper employee is too much of an ask. 4Extra broke down exactly what Adam could have done if he was still interested in them being cool and friends to this day.
Well, his main issue with you is that he's accusing you of lying. Lying about what? He said that you accused him of laughing at you. You did.
He did, though.
You did. Now, see, I seen that. You did. And let me break it down to you. You sit up there, first off, with an enemy towards my set. Soon as if me and you straight, you know what I'm saying, and we have a relationship, we cool, bro. You get what I'm saying? So if you get up here, bro, and you in the hospital, bro, damn near about to, you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if you're gonna die or fight for your life, bro, and the tragic just happened to you, bro, and you get on national TV or the internet, bro, and you got an op right here downplaying, talking about it. You was off the back was supposed to say, hey, bro, we ain't about to do all that, bro. All that shit what y'all got going, you get what I'm saying, whatever y'all beefing in the streets, whatever y'all got going, bro, with all due respect, let alone just to him, to his family, we gonna knock that off, bro. And bro, we ain't gonna do that up here, bro.
That expectation comes with friendship, though. If me and you are friends, then yeah, right? I'm gonna put our relationship above the business best interest. But if we're really not,
yeah, exactly. I was doing business. He was paying you, for his benefit. He wants to be friendly. He wants you to, think that you're friends and comfortable. But at the end of the day, I was doing business. He was paying you. It's not your friend. One thing about looking at sports on YouTube is very clickbaity, very clickbaity. Every week, every day, they line about a trade that's coming.
Paul actively campaigning,
but I still fought for it.
And should they do it? There's some myths that have been. Is Chris Paul actively campaigning to become a Los Angeles Laker, and should they do it? There's some myths that have been floating around out there that we need to dispel right now. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the LakersNation.com YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. So CP3 took to Instagram to post himself just draining corner threes. And in it, if you could see down at the bottom, he tagged Lakers head coach J.J. Redick, as well as the number 342. 342, J.J. Redick, the little salute emoji. I know a lot of people, look at that, bucket for Chris Paul. A lot of people took this to mean that CP3 is telling J.J. Redick, come and get me. I'm ready for duty. Well, maybe that's not entirely untrue. Right now, Chris Paul is at home waiting to resume his NBA career. What would be the final season of his career was sent home by the Clippers, and now he's waiting for his next opportunity to join an NBA team. However, I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that CP3 is trying to become a Los Angeles Laker specifically. I'm sure he wouldn't mind it. He gets to stay in LA, get to continue his career. But what this is in reference to is JJ Redick's shooting workout. He talked about it a couple of years ago on a podcast, and this is the shooting workout. He put it on X a few years back. In fact, almost 3 years ago now that he put this out there. This is JJ Redick's shooting workout. In fact, is that 3 years ago to the day? That is 3 years ago to the day that JJ, I forgot what day it was, 3 years ago to the day that JJ Redick posted this to X, and then Chris Paul posts the JJ Redick workout. That's what Chris Paul was doing. Is he telling JJ Redick, I want to be a Los Angeles Laker? I wouldn't quite go that far. But could Chris Paul be a Laker? Could he say replace Gabe Vincent? Could this be an actual thing? Well, yeah, potentially. It could really happen, but there are some things that have to happen first. Let's get into that. So while Chris Paul, I don't believe, was intentionally saying, I want to be a Los Angeles Laker on Instagram at the same time, is it reasonable to think he would have some interest in doing so? I mean, yes, you would have to imagine.
Yeah, I think that's good. You know, Gabe Vincent is not doing a bad job, but he's also not doing a great job. They can't rely on him. Even when he's in the game, he's not playing point guard. And Austin Reeves, he could play point guard, but he's better off the ball. Austin Reeves has been known to get stuck coming up the court and get some turnovers, which you can't really do if you're going to be a point guard. He's better at the two because he can get more burn. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. So if he's a point guard, it takes away from that. Yeah, they should get Chris Paul on a discount. Yeah.
That he would. But the first thing that we need to dispel here, number one, first and foremost, it is that Chris Paul is a free agent. He is not. And I'm seeing this around there a lot of people saying Chris Paul is a free agent. The Clippers waived him, all of that. They did not waive him. The Clippers sent Chris Paul home. They did not waive him. They have not officially waived him yet. This was back at the beginning of December. So it's been a while since we've seen Chris Paul, about 6 weeks or so since we've seen Chris Paul on an NBA floor, but he is still on their books. Here he is right there, $2.3 million. They sent him home. They're still paying him. They sent him home, sent him away from the team. That doesn't mean that he is waived. That does not make him a free agent. And the reason for that is because up until February 5th, the Clippers could still use him in a trade. Well, why not waive him, then open up a roster spot if you're the Clippers? Because similar to the Lakers, they're close to that first apron, 1.1 million below. So if they were to waive Chris Paul, they wouldn't really have a way to fill that roster spot. Now, they can do it, I believe, at this point. I think they've crossed that threshold in terms of the veteran minimum prorating enough for them to sign another player. But at this point, we're a few weeks away from the trade deadline. Might as well wait. Who knows? Maybe they need Chris Paul's $2.3 million veteran minimum salary to put into a trade. Maybe some team loses a point guard and suddenly gives you a very minor asset in order to get him. You never know. Never know what could ultimately happen there. So if you're a team, the only thing you do by waiving him right now is lock his salary onto your books. You would open up a roster spot, but a couple of weeks till the trade deadline anyway, you might as well just wait and see what's going to happen and see if you can actually use his salary in a trade before you cut him loose and actually lock that money on your books as dead money. Who knows? Maybe somebody doesn't get a point guard in the trade market that they want, and at the 11th hour on February 5th, they call you up and say, hey, okay, we want CP3. We didn't get the backup point guard we wanted. Let's go. Let's bring in somebody. And there you go. And then maybe you've got a deal. So if you're the Clippers, as unlikely as that scenario is, you completely eliminate the possibility if you just waive him right now. So he is not a free agent. He is not available for the Lakers to go pick up. Now, could the Lakers go pick him up if he were to hit free agency? Let's say he makes it all the way through and the trade deadline comes and goes and Chris Paul is still a Clipper and then they waive him. Could the Lakers go pick him up? Yes and no. And I know that's maybe not the direct answer everybody wants, but yes and no in that right now the Lakers do have 15 players under contract. However, one of those players, Kobe Buffkin, is only on a 10-day contract. So let's say the Lakers decide to turn Kobe Buffkin into a full contracted player and they decide they want that player to be Chris Paul. Well, that's pretty easy. You just wait for the veteran minimum again to prorate enough The Lakers are now, because they signed Kobe Buffkin, just $977,000 below the first apron hard cap. It's nothing to be worried about. By the time the trade deadline comes and goes, the veteran minimum will prorate enough, and then the Lakers could sign, in theory, Chris Paul, should he get waived to a veteran minimum salary. So that could be a path, but if Kobe Buffkin sticks, if he hits with the Lakers, there's only one roster spot currently. Now, what if Chris Paul takes the place of Gabe Vincent? Let's talk about that, because Gabe Vincent did just get booed in the Lakers' last game against the Hornets at Crypto.com Arena. Could Chris Paul take the spot and the role, rather than being the 15th man effectively on the roster and just getting garbage time minutes? Would the Lakers be better served if Chris Paul came in? Because I think there's an argument to be made. By the way, let me throw this in here. There's an argument to be made that for your final roster spot, you're better off giving that roster spot to Kobe Buffkin. Maybe it's Nick Smith Jr., to a young player that you're trying to develop, that you're trying to see if you can find a diamond in a rough, that over the long haul, that's going to have more value to the Lakers that are veteran. And Chris Paul, who we know his NBA career is now limited to months left. He is going to retire at the end of the year. Now, could Chris Paul be more useful for the Lakers right now than Captain Cardio himself, Gabe Vincent, getting booed at home for going 0 for 7? And it's fair to note, let's be fair to Gabe, he was on a heater for 3 games straight before that 0 for 7 performance against the Hornets. But nonetheless, Lakers fans, they let their feelings be known, and Gabe's on an $11.5 million expiring salary. So could you say, goodbye, Gabe, hello, CP3, and you're going to take on that role of being effectively the, let's call him the 5th guard in the Lakers rotation, with, in terms of primary initiators, with LeBron, Luka, Austin, Marcus Smart, Chris Paul? Are you better off doing that than having Gabe Vincent? Let's get into that. I'm going to get there in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You know, we spend so much time focusing on the health of the Lakers players. Let's take a moment and talk about your health and how AG1 can help. One of my New Year's resolutions this year is to focus more on my health. I want to feel better. I want to look better. And I know AG1 can help me achieve that goal. It's the easy. There's good. This with black coffee before checking your phone. No, I'll admit, I cheat on that one. I do not drink it before checking my phone, especially this time of year.